Well, welcome everybody to another episode from the Norfolk Herald. A slightly unusual one today. It's all drizzly and horrible out there and the roads are wet, so we're not taking the girl out. But I thought it might be useful and of general interest if I showed you what the engine and other components under the bonnet of a very original Triumph Herald 1360 looks like. As I said, I thought it might be of general interest, but actually thinking about it, it might also be of interest to anybody who's doing a restoration of a Herald and wants to maintain originality, because this one here, apart from one or two very minor little bits which I'll point out, is about as original under the bonnet as you can get. So without further ado, we'll open up the bonnet, which, as I expect everybody knows, is one of these where you lift up and then you can effectively see all of the engine, and handily the tyres form a nice seat that you can sit on to do a lot of the maintenance. So I'll start right at the front here, right down low where the bonnet is tilted up behind the front valence. We have the two twin horns which both sound together and give quite a nice note, a little bit sort of sophisticated compared with a lot of modern cars. Also maybe worthy of note these weatherproof seals here, which when the bonnet is lowered are supposed, if I can turn round, to seal against this part of the body here, the bulkhead, so that you don't get any water up into the engine and the battery. They're reasonably effective. So down here I'll give you a view of the suspension, the trunnions, and you can just see the anti-roll bar going across the front here. These two large springs, one either side, of course, do help to raise the bonnet up and down. And then the engine itself is shielded from the spray and so on by a metal plate here, one on either side of the engine. But as you can see, if I spin round, the battery is actually sort of outside the ambit of that protection, which is why you need the protection from the seals that I've referred to previously. The only difference is to the battery that from standard is I've fitted an isolator on here. The Herald only has one fuse, so when she's in the garage I make sure the battery's disconnected. And tucked away down here we have the voltage regulator, not to be confused with the voltage stabilizer, which is a little unit located at the back of the speedometer, and its purpose is to iron out the fluctuations so that your temperature gauge and your fuel gauge aren't subject to minor little fluctuations up and down. So just to the other side of the battery here we have the coil, which, as you can see, is easily to access, as is the distributor, and the dynamo. I'm still running the original dynamo, which is perfectly serviceable. It does occasionally make a little bit of bearing noise, but an important item of maintenance on these, sorry for the finger, is if, I'll just try and get it into focus here, you are supposed to put an occasional drop of oil just on the back here, which soaks in and lubricates that back bearing. And here we have the heater matrix with the motor built in, and over here the heater valve, which is controlled by this cable that goes to the interior of the car. You pull the knob towards you within the car to turn the valve to allow the hot water to flow through the matrix and give you the hot air inside the car. Here we have the thermostat housing. This is the original design of radiator for the Herald. There's a small guard just up here to protect your fingers from the fan if you're working on the car with the engine running. So I've now moved around to view the engine bay from the other side. Obviously we have the rocker cover here and the removable cap to top up with oil. The dipstick, if I can get it into focus, is just down here that you can see. Can't find my finger, getting in the way, but you can see what I mean there. So the water pump is here. It looks fairly new. That's because I've had to replace it. The original water pump sprang one hell of a leak when I was on my way back from volunteering at Prick Willow Museum one day, and I had to keep stopping and filling up. I ended up topping up about a gallon of water on a 30-mile journey, so you can imagine how much was leaking out. Anyway, I had to replace that. Unfortunately, the water pump that I found to replace it, the pulley is slightly larger than the pulley on the original one. That meant that the fan belt wouldn't fit and I had to buy a new fan belt. This seemed to be working all right. I suppose in very hot weather it might be that the temperature creeps up a little bit more than it would, but it's never been an issue. But something you may if you're replacing your water pump, you may wish to be aware of that the pulley may not be the same size as on the one you're replacing. I think some original water pumps are capable of being repaired, but mine was of a design that couldn't be taken apart. It's easy enough to replace them. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Just moving back now to the other side of the engine bay, the side where the distributor is. Down the bottom there is the fuel pump. It's the original manual fuel pump, not an electric one. Everything I've read has warned against buying a replacement electric pump because they produce too high a pressure and then it pumps fuel out of the carburetor, which is not a good idea. The pipe there then continues around the engine bay and comes here. You can just see it there. I'll try and touch it if I can find my way in. There. It looks extremely close to the pulley and the fan belt. It is fairly close, but we've managed to bend it up a bit. Obviously we had to move it when the water pump was replaced because the pulley was a bit bigger and made it closer to the fuel pipe. But that is actually the original position of the fuel pipe, I think, on these. And then it comes round. And I've lost it. There it is. It comes round, if I can lean over, into the carburetor. There's a Stromberg 150 carburetor that's the standard fitting on these, and you occasionally have to top up the oil in the dashpot. And the choke cable is this one, and the throttle cable leads there to the linkage. Obviously the inlet manifold, and then you'll see what one might say could be a slight design flaw, and I can't really get you a shot of it, but the exhaust manifold there is under the inlet manifold. So that's a good reason why you don't want your carburetor to be leaking. Ooh, golly. And this is the original air cleaner box on the Herald. That's the original design. And if we move over here, we've got brake and clutch master cylinders. Here we have the wiper motor and the original water bottle for the screen wash. Now the original water bottle on mine is no longer in use because one small modification that's been made to it is a second water bottle here with an inbuilt electric pump. That's been cleverly wired into the original control inside, so that whereas where you used to push the control to pump the water through the screen wash jets, pushing it now just operates a switch which turns the electric pump on, which is quite handy. And so apart from the new water bottle and the electric pump, it's more or less what you would find under the bonnet of an original Herald, and much of it is sort of absolutely as it would have appeared at the time it was manufactured. So if you're rebuilding one to original spec and appearance, then this might well be handy for you. I'll just do a little bit more of an overview. I'm very happy if anybody wants to ask me in the comments to provide you with any more photographic detail that I can. This one, as I say, I've been told is so original that it's sort of worthwhile referring to as a reference if you need to. Just show you these seams along here, which people in the know get very excited about. They start talking about being able to see the original spot welds and so on, but I just know that it looks pretty solid. That's good enough for me. So I think that's more or less it. I hope you found it of interest, and as I say, I'm quite happy to provide any other photographs that anybody may need off the Herald, or any other information that I can. Not that I'm an expert by any means, but yeah, there you go. If you wish, I'm happy to help. And that's all for this one, and hope to see you in my next video.